This whole episode has been really great to inspire anybody that is wondering why they're struggling with money.
Your financial education is a journey. The key is continuing to pick up the right information and then applying it.
I read a lot of mindset book, but the habits aspect of things didn't really fall into place until I was out of college in a bunch of debt. Wasn't sure what I was doing with school, wasn't sure where I was going, wasn't sure what's going on.
Parents considering teaching your kids about money, like try and provide them the tools, but be careful if how you pressure them to interact with that.
Mommy and daddy are fine. Then why are you yelling?
The conversations your parents have, the books you read, the friends you had, right? All this stuff shapes then how we think about money.
We never know how somebody's going to actually deal with knowledge given to them. So why not give it to them sooner rather than later and let them do what they want with it? At least your kid can never come back and say, why didn't you teach me this?
But as of this July, they're no longer going to be reporting medical debts on people's credit report. Is that news? Is that noise?
News. When that happens, you may be able to qualify for a much better interest rate.
I think back to when I was kind of climbing myself out of debt. Medical debt was a huge part of that. I was able to actually call the hospitals and negotiate with them to get them to actually lessen my load so that I was able to pay it off.
Student loan debt, the
Ay,
payments
caramba.
got pushed back again till September. Is this news or noise?
It's news, fellas, but it's bad news. I'm glad people are getting a relief. Don't get me wrong. I was one of those students that had a ton of loans, right? However, the example we're setting doesn't go anywhere.
You kind of have to get to a place where it's like, I need help.
Welcome to the Good Life.
What's up, y'all? This is the Good Life Visual Audio Podcast with Chris. Say what's up, Chris.
What's up, guys?
And Kobi.
What up, dope?
Hey, all right. So we're diving in on how to design your life with extraordinary health, wealth, and mindset. Find us wherever you listen and watch, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music. We got a good one for today. Chris is going to bring us in on some finances.
That's right. That's right, man. April is Financial Literacy Month, ladies and gentlemen. It means it's time to get... That's right. Give me one. Give me one. Give me one. That's right. April.
That laser gun right there was a bit stunted. Pound, pound, pound,
Like our speech today.
We gotta upgrade the lasers. It's all good. But we're here again. April is Financial Literacy Month, so this week we're gonna have a financial conversation. Again, we've had a bunch of them. You guys and people that are tuning into the Good Life, whether you're watching us or listening to us, this is not going to be new for you to hear these conversations. But again, I'm always stressing the fact that it's important for us to have more financial conversations out in the open. It's the only way we learn. It's the only way we get better. It's the only way we bounce the ideas off. So let's go do that.
Out in the open, guys. Not in your closets.
That's right.
Not in your room with the lights off. Out in the open. That's the
out
way to
in
do
the
it.
open. Out in the open. Because people do it closed. The only people you
all
talk
the time they do it closed.
Listen, pause, relax, okay? At the end of the day, you all know. I don't know why we're getting started on this foot tonight, guys. Like, we need to calm down.
I was just making it clear. Everybody understood. Only out in the open. Only out in the open, guys.
Only out in the open. Let's not have these things closed. Let's make this out in the open. But anyway, we digress. We need to talk money. Before we jump into the money, let's do a quick round of client stories. What has happened this week with your clients? Any common themes? Anything that you think the people can benefit from that you want to share? Either one. Open up. Could be Stu, either one of you guys.
All right. Shout out Outkast, one of the greatest groups of all time. Yeah. So one common thing I'm seeing this week and previous weeks as well from clients is setting strategic goals to keep you motivated and continue to bring a little bit of sense of competition with yourself, a little bit of challenge, a little bit of spice. So, at particular points in our program, CTM family, shout out. If you're part of it, you already know. If you're not, we in a mafia, boy. All right. Maybe it's not that serious. We welcome home.
Fruit Mafia.
Yeah. Fruit Mafia. I like that. And it's putting strategic challenges in place to, one, test where you are, two, challenge yourself, three, put something fun that you can reach for. We can keep going, but that's been really cool, and it's something I'm doing more and more. So strategic points in the program, we have sort of test that tells us, hey, you have completed this level and you're now ready for a new level. And that's been really cool. And this week in particular, we had two individuals pass their complete their current test with a satisfactory mark and move on to the next level. So that was exciting. And congrats, young fellas and lady.
Love it.
Yoo-hoo!
There we go. CTN family. Progress equals happiness. Progress equals happiness. So continue to progress, make it happen, set those goals. That's a good one. Again, all this stuff is applicable, guys. That's why we're kind of explaining it in this way, because all of us probably have a story that's applicable. Setting big goals, another big thing on the finance side too. But go ahead, Stu. What do you got?
So mine was, I've got a client that really struggles picking up on social cues. Like, very intelligent young man, just kind of gets like thrown off by like a couple different things. And what we were talking about today was he was repeatedly apologizing or asking the statement, perhaps 10 times over 45 minutes. He was like, hey, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, are you with me? Are you on the same page? And the way he was saying it had a little bit of like insecurity in his voice. And what I highlighted for him was this habit that he has that actually can kind of take away from some of his personal power, kind of might alter the way people perceive him from like a confidence perspective, because he's very unsure of whether or not he's coming across. So what we did is we kind of reintroduced an element of trust in there, where from now on, like once he gets to like a certain level of comfortability with somebody, he can be like, hey, I'll trust you to, ask me a question if you're unsure, or I trust you to let me know if you have like some type of disagreement with me, but I'm not going to like worry about it as much as I used to. So that's going to be a really powerful shift for him. And he was really excited for that.
That's huge. That's huge. It feels great when people get that shift too, right? When you can spot something and see something or hear something that people don't, and they can shift their thinking or shift their habit a bit. It's huge. It's huge. So needing that awareness around that.
For sure.
Nice coaching, sir. Nice coaching, sir. You will not end up like Frank Vogel.
I don't
know. For those that don't know, Frank Vogel just got fired from the Lakers head coach, and it was very sad.
Yeah. Well, let's not end up like that guy. But what I really liked about how we kind of started this conversation was how you said, let's bring these financial conversations out in the open. And it's the same thing in everything else we're doing here. If you have shame about it, if you don't like show that with somebody else, how are you going to get some third party perspective? He never knew that he was actually taking away from his own power as a manager. So yeah, glad we're on the same page tonight.
That's huge. That's huge. So those are all good things. Mine for the week, multiple clients. Again, that's why we talked about introducing this, because it happens across the board. It's not just like one person. So I know if it happens to like 3, 4, 5, it's happening to 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, right? So prioritizing the time you spend with money was the theme this week. Prioritizing the amount of time you spend. I know before we had talked about like organizing the money, but really prioritizing the amount of time you spend. I worked with a few people this week that didn't actually want to spend time with their money, meaning like it's always it was a burden. Like, oh, I got to look at the money, right? Like, how do you expect to get better in the year if it's like such a burden for you to do it and you choose not to look at it, right? And there's a few people that we're dealing with the same types of things, just saying, hey, you got to prioritize your money. If you want to get better with your money, then you have to prioritize it. It makes sense in all the other areas, right? You want to get better in your health, going to the gym or eating differently or whatever it's going to be. Like, you practice that thing. Well, same thing with money. If you want to get better with it, you want to think, better of investments or understand your financial plan a bit more, whatever, you have to actually prioritize it. It's got to slide up the list, not down the list of things you have to get done. And therefore, you got to say, hey, once a week, I'm looking at, hey, Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. from 10 to 12 is when I'm doing numbers for my financial life. Hey, Wednesday at this time, I'm prioritizing this to look at my financial life. When we do that, it gets better. When we say, I'll get around to it, or I know I'm supposed to do it today, but everything else becomes the priority, it's tough for people to get ahead. So that's the lesson on the financial side today, guys, is prioritize. Like, spend time with your money. Spend time with the place, even if it's a bit uncomfortable for you. The more you spend time there, the more you'll grow. All right?
I'm with it.
There Amen. It is. There it is. So
let's get a good old bow, 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 bow.
There it was. Now we can officially dive into the episode now, right? Like that is the intro. But guys, again, we're here to talk money. April being Financial Literacy Month, is more important to have the conversation. The conversation should happen all the time. But this month, for sure, we need to get things out. One thing I want to share with the audience over on LinkedIn. By the way, if you're not following me on LinkedIn or the guys on LinkedIn, get over there on LinkedIn. A lot of business talks over there, a lot of good conversations happening. You can really get into a nice network of people over on LinkedIn that are business minded. So jump over there. But I put out
everything in the open, guys. Everything in the open.
Nothing in the closed. Nothing closed. Nothing behind doors, guys. Let's go. Let's go. Anyway.
Nothing behind closed doors. Lord, sir.
Transparency.
Listen, you got to be transparent about these things. Listen, Kobi started this whole train, right? Like, we started this. Pause. Anyway.
I just want to know.
Says the guy who started pause.
Well, it looks like somebody else is picking up on it. Picking up on what we're putting down.
Anyway. I am not picking up on this here P word.
Yes, you are.
But on LinkedIn.
Anyway, on LinkedIn, some great conversations happened over there. We put out a poll around money. It was a real simple poll, but we had a bunch of people respond to it. The question actually was, who do you credit learning or teaching you about money? Like, if you had to credit somebody with teaching you about money, who would it be? And the options that we put were school, parents, a close family or friend, or no one. I told myself. What will you guys' answers be? I'll share the poll, but let's start here. Who would you credit? That was the question. Like, who do you credit for teaching you about your money, or teaching you about money to help shape your money mindset? School, parents, a close family member or friend, or no one? You taught yourself.
Parents, big time.
Parents.
Definitely taught myself.
Definitely taught yourself. Funny. Those were the two results that everyone chose.
There was
one person that chose a close family or friend, but out of 47 people, only one person said close family or friend. 57 people said parents. 40% said no one. Taught myself.
That's actually, I'm pretty happy to hear that. That surprises me.
Very much so.
Well, let's talk about that, right?
Yeah.
Why does that surprise you, Stu?
Well, if I were to put on my ignorant cap for a moment, school's supposed to teach us stuff for life. But if I were to remove that, I'm honestly quite surprised that as many parents are teaching their kids about it in this sample size you have. I would have thought it'd have been a lot more taught themselves, or yeah.
Makes sense. That makes sense. That's what I would have thought as well. But it sounds like, some people have good parents. One of the people that actually commented inside of that post, she actually was given the side. She was like, yeah, my parents taught me and did great things, but I think, right, they made me too frugal. I saved too much money in the early stages. And I was like, I don't think that's you much rather have a savings habit than a spending habit, right, from your parents. So I don't think they did a bad thing for you.
I wonder, what do you think she was talking about, investing more, maybe being more aggressive while younger?
No, I mean, she was literally just talking about being too frugal, not having fun, not going out, just saving all of her money in her 20s and 30s. And I was like, but that's.
Can we talk about this?
Sure.
Because that's probably how I feel, actually.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, I think if you choose to have a lot of fun when you're younger and then you learn these money things, obviously the younger you learn about money, the more it's going to grow for you over time.
Sure.
No doubt about that. But I will say, having been taught to be so frugal with it, and then all of a sudden, like ripping off that band aid and having a lot of fun starting at 28, maybe you should have had fun sooner. And I think what's interesting is eventually you find a balance point. But let's say I had all that fun up until 25, and then, or maybe like 22, and then I started getting really serious about my money. Maybe I'd have a larger return of investment over time as money works for itself.
Yeah. It's a real debate. Kobi, I'm curious to hear your standpoint on it.
I'm trying to wrap my head around it a little bit
Here's
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, the debate I always have in alignment with what Stu is saying is it really worth educating younger people about money when it really does take you kind of messing it up in order to appreciate it? I've had this conversation with people, right? Because it's true. Like, the people that mess it up early, they learn later. Like, I did that. But when it comes to our money, if we are just told what to do with it and we never do it for ourselves, at some point we do the opposite of what we were told when it comes to money. And sometimes it looks like when you're 28, sometimes it looks like when you're 45, and you then drop 100 grand on the car because you call it a midlife crisis, but it's really just because you've been disciplined with your money, like your entire, and like you're like, I got it, so I'm just gonna spend it. I don't know. There's a debate.
Goodness gracious, who's out here dropping 100 grand on the car? I mean, that paycheck better be large. I do think it's worth it, and when I say that, I mean I do think it's worth. Follow me now for a second. I do think it's worth giving the kids the tools, whether they use it or not, because not all kids are the same. All right. I feel like, whether it was my circumstances that made me or it was just me, I was the type of kid that if you gave me the tools, I was going to use them. All right. And maybe it's because I had a certain level of lack, especially around money and in my family. So that was the case, right? Or maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But as soon as, I say I taught myself money, but I had certain key individuals in my life who introduced me to a book or introduced me to an app or told me, hey, this, it's a pointed me in the right direction. They didn't necessarily teach me how to do it, but they pointed me in the right direction, and I followed. Right. So I think not doing it at all is not necessarily better than giving them some of the tools, because you don't know what the kid is going to take up. So I do think mistakes is a great way to learn, but you can give a kid all the tools and they'll still make some mistakes anyway. So they'll figure it out. They'll make a fair amount of mistakes.
I love how specific you got on this, because like I think you're absolutely right. We never know how somebody's going to actually deal with knowledge given to them. So why not give it to them sooner rather than later and let them do what they want with it? At least your kid can never come back and say, why didn't you teach me this?
Right. That's right.
Ownership.
Bars.
Factuals.
There we go. It makes perfect sense, right? Makes perfect sense. Everybody's going to do with the information as they please. But again, money, I believe, is one of those things that you kind of do have to mess it up a bit. Like, if you did just get the blueprint, but I feel like this could be everything, right? We're talking money, but my brain just went to a bunch of different things that you have to kind of go down the path before, like you said, Stu, you get that balance. You swing all the way this way, whichever way that is that you started, whether it's on the frugal side or whether it's on the, spending side. And then all of a sudden you start swinging back the other direction. And then you kind of settle into your place of how you want to use your money. But again, think of those two things, that we're getting our financial habits either from our parents, right? The people that are closest to us in that form, or we're teaching ourselves, right? Or we're picking up the resources as we go. We're learning the plays as we go. We're figuring out as we go. And that is what this, the reason why these conversations are important is because for the people that are trying to figure it out as they go, that need the resources, that need to hear what's happening, well, you got to know where to get the resources. And then you got to start applying them, just like Kobi said. Got to be able to apply them. Kobi, since you brought it up, was there a book that was inspirational? Was there an app that was inspirational? If you taught yourself it, do you have one person that was like this helps the most? Like they gave you the first push? Is there someone that's memorable on that side?
Individuals in my life. Yeah, I think one of my first bosses when I was working construction in high school, shout out Chris Hawks, really started to point me in the direction of a couple of things. First and foremost, real estate. Rich Dad, Poor Dad started making me think about the macro things. Richest Man in Babylon pointed me in that direction as well. Think and Grow Rich pointed me in that direction. Those are kind of mindset sort of books. And I know he's not your favorite, Chris, but for me, it was extremely helpful. Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey was extremely great for my fundamentals in terms of creating a budget, living within my means, not spending more than I make, tracking my spending, not getting into dumb debt, and things of that nature. Helped me get rid of my student loans, helped me get rid of just get out of debt in general and start saving and putting money aside for other things. And then later on, I started diving into other things as well. I recently just read by E.B. Tucker, Why Gold, Why Now? I think it's a fantastic book. And a few others that kind of like really helped. Investing in real estate apartment. I forget the guy's name, but that was a big one as well. And then one by this fund manager that kind of dives into stocks and whatnot. But it's kind of like it was a whole journey. I think the biggest thing was getting me started on the journey of like actually paying attention to this, thinking about this. Yeah. I feel like I would have probably kept going and kept trying to, do the best I can, but not have a system, not have a way of thinking about it. So those are the things that really stuck to me. And honestly, like I say, the whole debt piece and the habits aspect of things, I read a lot of mindset book, but the habits aspect of things didn't really fall into place until I was out of college in a bunch of debt, wasn't sure what I was doing with school, wasn't sure where I was going, wasn't sure what's going on. And I really had to find something. I had to find a system, right, that was going to help me tremendously.
That's it. And again, that is what we talk about. It's we kind of have to get to a place where it's like, I need help, right? The other side is more preventative maintenance of like, here's how you do it. But normally most of us come to picking up this information when we need the help, right? And yeah, I don't follow everything that Dave Ramsey says, but like he has a place for that. When you need a lifeline and you don't have a human being necessarily to go to, it doesn't matter where the resources come from, and everybody learns differently, takes in different information differently. It's about how you get to that point. That's why these conversations are important. The thing that you said could be that, again, should resonate with everyone is like, it's a journey. Your financial education is a journey. Your health education is a journey. Your mindset education, your spiritual education, these things are journeys. So you're picking up information along the way. The key is continuing to pick up the right information and then applying it, right? The way that you get that is, again, having the conversation. So, Stu, you put this in chat, that the expression, the money you earn through
thanks for reminding me about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is something that I don't talk about publicly enough to keep to this whole theme. All the money I earned in construction, I don't fucking care about at all. I don't like it. I'm happy it's there. It's provided me with opportunities, but I have no emotional connection to it. Now, the money that I make through coaching and my business, I'm hype about that money. And I'm taking this like marketing and sales training right now. And this guy brought up this point that whatever money you make and you don't like doing it, it doesn't seem to stick around like you want it to. Now, that was his opinion. I don't know if that's that true, but I can certainly say from a small sample size of myself that this has been really accurate. It's like, because, we've talked about how money is some type of energy or alternate to energy. And yeah, I guess there's a part of me that, we've talked about like the different upbringings, like could be the lack that you've mentioned is not something that necessarily I had to deal with. And I think consequently it led to this whole thing of, yes, I was instructed about it early. Yes, it was potentially pressured early, which I don't think I would recommend. I like the provision of knowledge for a kid, but I think pressuring them can actually do more damage in the long run, because now it's not their thing. Me pursuing that money was not their thing. So me keeping this money I had has not had any emotional interest in me whatsoever. So it's been nice to know that, I'm actually bringing myself to zero. I still have assets, but bringing myself to zero. And now whatever happens after this, I feel as close to self-made as possible with it. So I'm going to take better care of that energy.
1,000%, man. 1,000%. Like, your emotions, again, we've heard it a bunch of times, right? Your money is connected to your emotions connected to your money, right? So if that pressure, wherever you learned it from, if it is parents, if that pressure comes in, and again, it's not something that then is a positive emotion for you, then it's very likely that, again, you're not going to need that money. You're going to waste it. It's not going to be connected to you in the same ways that you're saying. So, yeah, all these things shape our money mindset, guys. All these things shape like how we think about money. The conversations your parents have, the books you read, the friends you had, right? All this stuff shapes then how we think about money. And that's why untangling, unlearning, figuring out where the information came from, what emotions were behind it, will help you figure out your money even more. So, you guys have any other kind of things to wrap up on that poll? We were just talking about that poll, right? Of teaching yourself or having your parents teach you. But anything else to those points?
I'll highlight something that you've said in the area of wealth, Stu have said in the area of mindset, and I've said in the area of health. And it's the first step is awareness. The first step is awareness, paying attention. Somebody can teach you and maybe you don't care. so you don't pay attention to it, or you don't have interest in it, you don't seek it out yourself. So when awareness is there, pay more attention. And there's a lot of teachers, whether in people, books, or other resources out there. So
very good. Ton of education. So
it really is out there. I love how you keep bringing that up. I think that there's two things I just want to bring up. One, I love Think and Grow Rich. I'm on my second time looking at it right now, so great plug on that, Kobi. And then two, just reemphasize, like, parents considering teaching your kids about money, like, try and provide them the tools, but be careful how you pressure them to interact with that, because there may be a point in time where they buck that off because it's not theirs, and they feel like this is mom and dad's pressure. Yeah. So easier said than done, I'm sure, but
1,000%. Here's how to help. I just talk about clients. I just gave this advice to a few moms. Is we've said this a bunch. Kids don't do what we say; they watch what we do, right? So the pressure that you put on them to save, make sure you do this, make sure you do this. It's one way. It can add that pressure, that negative connotation. The other side is open up your finances to them. Open up your finances to your child. Does your child see your bank account, see your savings account, see how much you save on a monthly basis, walk you through them budgeting, walk them through investments? Like, do you bring them along in the journey instead of telling them exactly what to do? You have to bring them along in the journey. This is parenting. This is like everything else. Me and my wife are having these conversations right now because, right, we're business people. Sometimes we can have heated discussions, not always arguments, just heated discussions, right? Like where it's up there and our daughter hears it. And sometimes she starts raising her voice, even if she's just talking. And we're like, hey, lower your voice. But it's because she hears us. And sometimes in the midst of us, like, we have to stop and be like, hey, we're not yelling at each other. Like, we're fine. We're just talking. We explain it to her. But now she talks at a higher pitch, right? Because she's watching us do it. It's the same thing with money. It's the same thing with all the stuff, you know? Kobe's laughing, but like, it's just true. It's the way it works. It'll work the same thing with food.
Mommy and daddy are fine. It's like, so why are you yelling?
We're not having any problems, all right?
That's what's happening. It's happening.
Man.
That's actually very, very. I'm really excited to hear that you guys are doing that, because arguing in my house was not explained well to me. Neither was the money side. Like, while they taught me about money, they never taught me about like their amounts.
Right.
And I don't know. I think I'm probably going to have a different approach to that. I'm sure there's going to be different pros and cons. But like you said, like, when they actually show you some of the amounts, like, it helps you make it real.
Mhm.
And it helps make sure your kid doesn't have some imaginative idea of how much or how little money you have, because that actually does affect your kids' like life choices. It really, really does.
Absolutely.
So really
Got to
glad
bring them along.
that arguing piece is key, man. If you can explain to your child that, yeah, you know what, maybe we get a little like spicy from time to time, but that doesn't mean we have any problems with each other.
I love it.
Because listen,
it's a Latina thing.
It is.
It feels spicy.
You get a little spicy here and there. But for real, like, I just think, again, this is kind of parenting. I just think this is the way parenting should be. Like, a lot of our parents hid the things they were doing, or the conversations they were having, or the troubles they were going. They hid them from us as if that were protecting us, right? And to some degree, I'm sure it was, but it really didn't. Because then we had to figure it out later in life, and then we come back and be like, hey, did you know? It's like, oh yeah, we were dealing with the same thing. Like, why didn't you tell me? It's because
they gotta keep it out in the open.
Yeah, that's right. See, it all comes back.
Not behind closed doors.
Not behind closed doors.
Mom, Dad, what are you doing in there?
All the like voyeurs watching this show are like excited as hell right now.
They're like, yeah,
They're like, are they saying that?
keep talking about
Is that where they're going with this?
Sally, I've been saying this for years.
Oh gosh, you guys taking turns on this podcast. Boy, are we taking.
Was that St. Catherine Sally?
I cannot confirm or deny this. What was the next topic, Chris?
But anyways, understand how important that one was. The next topic, though, to be honest, is we're going into news and noise. We're going into
love it. Bow, 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 bow.
News.
Yes, your gun. We gotta fix your gun.
Meow 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 meow. It's like a half cat.
Oh god.
For those that don't know, our awesome marketing specialist Hembo.
Yeah, shout out Hembo.
Had the best call out on Chris's lasers that they sounded like Blue's Clues, and now I can't not hear it. You got to hang like a blue print up on the wall behind you.
Yeah, it was spot on. Hembo, spot on. Great call.
Please keep calling us out on that. That's hilarious.
If you watched last week's episode, go back, for everyone that's listening, go back into last week's episode. I think there might be some references to Blue's Clues in there. I think Ash did something visually.
Really?
Yeah, I think she did. She shared it with me briefly and was like, "Are you okay with this?" And I just saw something quick, and I was like, "Yeah, that's fine. Like, do your thing." But like, I think it was coming at me a bit on the Blue's Clues side.
Way to handle like a champ. I will say, so is there a segment coming up like mail time?
Ooh, I love meal time.
No, but if we have to implement that.
Do we have news or noise? Does that count?
Maybe we got news or noise, but it is what it is.
News or noise.
Ooh, that's harmonized. Oh yeah.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Look at
that was a joke. That was a joke.
Clip
it, Hembo. Clip it.
Clip it. Anyway, news or noise. I'm gonna bring up three. I think I have three different articles. You tell me if this is news or if this is just noise, stuff that people are talking about, and then elaborate a bit and let me know. Here's the first one around money. All these around money, because again, we got to talk about it. Inflation reaches the highest heights it has been since 1981. News or noise? That's a CNBC article, I think, too. News or noise? Inflation and it being at the highest rate that it's been since 1981, in almost 40 years. News or noise?
Unfortunately, noise. I mean, news. I think that is news. I don't know why.
Gotcha.
We just can't talk today. We've had stutters. We've had everything.
There's a lot.
I'm dyslexic apparently. But yeah, I think I would like this to be noise because the government's always just printing money and telling us we owe them more money and not raising. It's so obnoxious. I don't even want to get heated up right now. But it's really news because this has to affect your financial decisions. I saw a really great story. My buddy Damon posted the other day, just talking about how cool I got a 3% raise at work. Awesome. That's cool. Well, I'm actually making less money than I did last year because of inflation. Ladies and gentlemen, don't let your employer control your money supply. Go start your own business. It's news.
There we go.
Oh, that's hot, but we got conflict. Noise. All right. Let me explain. Why do I say it's noise? I believe it's noise because, first and foremost, anything out there in mainstream media is noise because they don't really have much to talk about. That's point number one. Point number two, if your investing and money management strategy is sound, it doesn't actually matter because you're hedged against the market while profiting from the market.
What I just want everyone to know what Kobi just said is a 303 level strategy, just so you understand. It might be a 202, but when you start getting into hedging and risk and those types of things, you're in a 303 strategy. It's valid. It's true. But I just want to.
That is why I say noise, because all of this stuff, just like on the health side, where they push out, hey, you should do all this because there's a giant monster. I'm not going to say the name because we don't want to get canceled out there, and it's going to kill you, your family, and your kids, right? No, not if you've been doing what the CTN family has been advocating for years, which is boosting your immune system, taking care of yourself, right? Preparing yourself, putting yourself in a position so that whatever hits, you're prepared and you're ready. It's the same thing here. Yeah, inflation is going blah, 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 but you're hedged against the market, profiting from the market while you wait for whatever foolishness they're going to pull next. They continue to pull. We know what you're doing. We've got eyes on you. We see you. Noise.
We hear you.
We hear you.
But I just want to echo, see no evil, hear no evil. I just want to echo how important it is down here in Florida. For the most part, it's you can pretty much say whatever you want to say to somebody. Yeah, we'll get pissed off at each other, but we're actually not the Wild West. It's fine. We'll just walk away. So many individuals that clearly do not take care of their health are the only people that would ever have the nerve to say something about me about not wearing a mask or not being vaccinated. I just have to say this. I know some people are going to hate it, but like we say in every episode, good publicity, bad publicity. At the end of the day, if you take care of your body, Kobi is absolutely right. You are going to be almost impervious to all of the stuff they say you should worry about. How do I know this? Because I'm pretty much a savage and I've grown up my entire life only washing my hands when I have to, because I learned from a lot of weightlifters and others that you have to expose your body to germs and viruses so you are more protected against these things.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are not saying you should not wash your hands.
I'm not saying that either.
We're not saying that.
You should wash your hands.
We're also not saying you can't come down with something. We're not saying that. We're not saying that.
Thank you.
Just saying. You had
He
yourself
is
against
also
the
our
market.
informal lawyer on the show.
I just want to say, let's cover our lanes here and make sure we're good to go. All right, we haven't blown up yet. We don't want to get canceled before we get blown up. I've experienced this, and it's just hurtful, guys. It's hurtful. It's hurtful.
Okay. We're gonna get to Dave Chappelle's level, and then we can get canceled and come right back.
Yeah, say whatever we want.
That's right.
But,
whatever we want.
You can't say whatever you want as long as you're responsible for whatever you say.
Sure.
and that's what we are over here. And that's why I'm careful when I choose my words, but I also reserve the right to grow.
Yes.
So we'll say that. Let's put that in there. Put that in the contract as well, Himba.
Yeah, seriously.
Keep that in there.
All of our viewers will have to sign a 5-page agreement. No, it's never gonna happen.
Sidebar on that. I know
I
we're
love
not
sidebars.
we're not trying to talk about it, but like,
What are they serving at the sidebar?
do you know that they have something that cures and prevents COVID?
Is it the oral pill
I don't know what it is, but they just told my mom about it. Like
that cures and prevents COVID?
like that like there's, and again, this is right out in the open, so I don't know. We want to talk about this type of stuff.
Is this the mononucleoids or something like that?
I'll get the specific name of the drug.
Is it called a well-functioning immune system?
Yes,
Is
that is.
it
no, but really,
fresh air, sunshine.
that is it. But it's really not it. Like, we'll talk offline, and maybe we'll let the viewers in. We just really don't want to get canceled, and that's. But there really is. Like my mother.
Noise.
Let's just wrap it up there.
No
That's noise.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about manifestation for a moment. Kobi has been wanting some type of like show like cards for like months, and
He literally just did it. And I think they're a keeper. Like,
they're a keeper. They're a keeper.
For sure.
I would like a genuine copy of one of those, please.
Yeah,
I'll have one. I cut the noise on there.
I'll have one expedited to you, sir.
Thank you.
The good life flashcards, is that what we call them? There we go. But
paddles.
The paddles. So news or noise, going back to that news or noise, inflation. So Stu, you think it's news, could be noise. I'm probably go down the path of noise also. I know. Knowing that,
oh man.
Knowing that though,
my soul has left.
Inflation does really affect people that have portfolios that are in the process of getting to that next stage in life, closer to retirement, those types of things. It's a real factor. But like could be said, if you're at that place, you should be working with a financial professional that has hedged for some of those things, that have looked at your downside risk, right? Like, and all those types of things. So really, these types of articles are pushed towards middle America, middle to lower income people, to believe that there's a bigger problem or something that they need to focus on or pay attention to. And for most people that are reading that article that do not understand it, they don't need to be thinking about inflation. It's really not that big of a deal to them, right? They should be focused on cash flow, on making more money, right? Like, then once we start to get into the investing conversation of living off of your investments and making sure that your money has worth down the line and those things, then absolutely we're going to start talking about covering for inflation. So for me,
agreed. But if I could have a rebuttal here,
go for your rebuttal.
I do think there are so many people that take for granted the fact that inflation is larger than their raise. I really think that gets lost. Now, the question is, if they are still doing all of the right things on the money side, maybe it doesn't matter to them. But if you're just thinking that you can get your salary and you don't really need to go through any of these other steps that Chris talks about, you're making less money every year.
Yeah. And you should know that from that standpoint. And when you put it in the bank, outside of having an emergency fund, right? Because again, we got to talk fundamentals. You got to have the emergency fund. Don't worry about that. But over that emergency fund, if you're putting money in the bank, you're losing money there too, right? So it's happening on both sides. Again, I think many people just have to think about that cash flow issue first and foremost. Like, just go out and make some more money and you'll figure it out. Own your income. Good things will happen. So we got noise on that one. Here's another one for you guys. This one was more on the credit side. Coming up July 1st, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion will remove any medical debts that were sent to collections off of your credit report. So medical debt is one of the things that piles up on your credit report that people have negative implications on. But as of this July, they're no longer going to be reporting medical debts on people's credit report. Is that news? Is that noise?
News. And I'm
Mm.
saying news because there may be people out there that have been wanting to buy a house or take out a big loan for a little while and have just written it off as impossible or this can't be done anytime soon. And when that happens, you may be able to qualify for a much better interest rate.
Good. That's huge. Could be.
News. News. It's news, guys. It's news. I'm saying it's news, but I'm not saying it's good news. Not saying it's good news. What I am saying here, guys, it's when we really look at this situation.
What is happening?
When we really look at this situation, should we really be approving people who shouldn't be approved for things they shouldn't be approved for? No. Me thinks no.
No, absolutely not. You're right.
Me thinks no. Right? So are we just going back and people who shouldn't be buying things just say, hey, listen, here's a blank check, buddy. Buy what you want. You want that? Buy it. You want that? Buy it. Who cares? $20,000 in medical debt? Uncle Sam wiped that away for you. You hear that? Buy it. Terrible. It's news, fellas, but it's bad news.
Is there a specific anchor you have in mind for that? Because
we need a name. We need a name for
Spot
the
on.
anchor, right? Like I have to call you by that
we
name.
start calling out anchors, we are going to get
bad news bears.
We'll go down fighting.
Thank you,
Bad
Mr.
news
Bad.
bears.
Thank
Bad
you,
news
Mr.
bears.
Bad News. Thank
Yeah.
you, Mr. Bad News.
Bad news
for that
bears.
report.
No, Mister Sir. I'm for the people.
Oh gosh, what is
Coming
happening?
straight out of
Anyway,
Chicago. We're the Bears.
we're the Bears. The Bears.
The Bears.
Too much. It
But
is
I
news,
do
though.
actually stand by what I just said, though.
I believe you. I believe you because it is news. This is
I
important.
too believe you.
Do you know so many people that pay attention to their credit score and credit report and are fixing their credit and all that, those types of things? And medical debt is one of those things that piles up. You know how many people forget to make their copay or like they have a random thing. Sometimes it's not even a lot of money, but it gets reported. I've had people that, $37 for a copay, $35, they just forget to pay it. And it gets reported to the collections agency, which affects their credit. So the fact that that's not going to affect people anymore is definitely news. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's definitely a good thing.
And one thing, Chris, if I may, I do think it's important to help people get the things that they want in life, such as a house, etc., but not at the cost of like just shoveling them through. It's like, Too Tall Jones, pushing Too Tall Jones through 7th grade, even though Too Tall Jones is clearly a bonehead and hasn't learned anything in 7th grade, right? Because I think back to when I was kind of climbing myself out of debt, medical debt was a huge part of that. And I had to figure it out, right? One of the things I did was, and this is in, talking to folks, et cetera, is I was able to actually call the hospitals and negotiate with them to get them to actually lessen my load so that I was able to pay it off. And, I had to figure it out because I had to figure it out. Now, if we just take the burden off of folks and not saying, or without any real, let's try to help them do it the right way, not just give them an A to get through the class. You guys see what I'm saying?
I certainly do. I think it's situational. I think if someone's like a repeat offender of like accruing medical debt, this is probably bad news. If somebody is a model financial citizen, but they had like one accident or one like treatment that just tanked everything and it like ruined everything else they had going for them and they can't keep up, then maybe this is good.
Yeah. I think they're, again, case by case. I think there's just going to be some different, follow the money, right? I think there's just going to be some different ramifications from this.
Oh, what a nice alternate way about follow the money.
No, I mean, if you think about this, the debt doesn't go away. They just stop reporting it to the credit bureaus.
Exactly.
Right. So people, you owe money, you're still going to owe it. It's just now the insurance, the healthcare provider, the doctor, the hospital, they're going to have to get their money. And there's not going to be the same consequence of, well, it'll go on your credit and now you can't buy a house and can't do these things, right? Because again, the government really is underlying thinking, my personal opinion, follow the money, how do we get people to start being able to buy stuff again, right? And like leverage their credit and like start purchasing stuff, right? So student loans and medical debt, right? Big things that are hindering credit from stopping people buying homes and spending money and getting loans. So now they're going to say, well, let's get that off your credit to give you more spending power and ability again. They'll figure out, the student loan people figure out how to get their money. The hospitals, the medical figure out how to get their money. We're not going to let it affect your debt. Now come back to buying some homes and come back to getting some loans from the bank and come back to doing all that because your credit gets a bit better, but you still owe the debts, right? Like they just figure out a different way. So those are some things I think that the government's plotting on, is like, why should this affect all of this? Because it's affecting all of it. And if they could eliminate the medical debt and let the healthcare handle their own self, right? You never know. A hospital might refuse treatment down the line. They might change a law that like, oh, now if you owe $20,000, you don't get medical treatment, right? Like, and now the hospital entity, the healthcare entity gets its own thing, and it's not attached to our economy and people actually like spending money.
Bottom line is, it doesn't address any underlying habits.
Right.
It just basically just puts lipstick on a pig and says it's okay when it's really not. Right. So yeah, that's the bottom line.
I like that. I mean, I think you bring up a great point. I wonder if they get specific, if there is any type of case by case, or they're just simply looking at the whole ledger and they're like, toss it out.
Yeah, because think about it. Do you toss it out? This is just a way to keep the giant monster that is this debt-based economy rolling, right? So that they have to generate more debt to keep this thing rolling. You know, I've said this before. Maybe we'll dive into a different episode. But how else do you feed this huge debt monster more of the debt money? By like saying, hey, listen, you guys, checks. Or, hey, listen, you guys, you don't have to worry about that anymore. You have great credit score now. You can go buy more stuff that you can't handle the monthly payments because you still have to pay these other bills. Like, you know, so it's crazy.
When you say it like that, it does. I'm sorry, Chris, go ahead.
No, jump in, man.
When you say it like that, it does kind of seem like we're also kind of continuing this modern indentured servitude type thing where you just simply can't get out. I mean, if I had a shit ton of debt and I kept getting paid off or just kept the habits up of continuing debt, I couldn't go and do my own thing and run a business. There's no way. Right. I'd be reliant on playing the corporate game and being under somebody's thumb and getting paid and fed when I'm told to.
Let me underline a word, reliant. Let me underline a word, reliant, right there. And I think, you know, let's not get canceled. Let's move on. But yeah, not agree more.
Yeah. So again, news, but not necessarily great news. There's some underlying things that'll come from it for sure, but pay attention to it. Here's the last one for news or noise. This one is about student loan debt. The payments got pushed back again till September. So this is the 6th time that the administration has pushed back when we need to pay these student loans. So now you don't have to pay them back till September. Is this news or noise?
It's news, man. I'm gonna be that guy again.
I'm gonna be that guy.
It's news for the people that are living in the reality of a broke college or broke just past college student. That's important to know. Mm-hmm. I would wish that you personally would take it, recognize it's important to know, and then be like, I'm still going to make this payment like I thought I should this month. But I don't know if that's going to happen.
We got news on your side. Could be, what are you saying?
I got to go with noise. You know, if you're relying on the government to do things like this, then the foundation is really shaky, because the person or the entity or the group of peoples that puts your monies at risk is the government, right? They're the ones that constructed this lovely system that has us now with ridiculous amounts of student loan debt that is literally a noose if you will, around the necks of our young graduates. And it makes, I was talking to, my chiropractor. I was talking to my chiropractor, and my chiropractor was telling me, hey, listen, I think that, this thing is great and all, but, between you and me, it's kind of a scam. I'm like, kind of a scam? Chiropractor, what do you mean it's kind of a scam? He was like, listen, how can I go to chiropractic school, take out $120,000 to go to school, but when I get out of school, I graduate, I do well, cum laude, shout out, I'm the best, I do what I do, but I can't take out 50,000, 60,000, 70,000 to start my business. How does that make sense? How am I supposed to pay back my student loans? Right? So the system, it doesn't make any sense. They create this problem by totally messing up the student loan system to begin with, by guaranteeing these loans so that not colleges continue to raise their prices. Because guess what? If we give all these money out to students that are going to come here because there's all this societal pressure that they should come out here, right? They should come and they must do this. They have to do this for their moms, their dads, their self-esteem, their job, and all this stuff. They have to come and do this. So, and we know without a shadow of a doubt, we're going to get our money back regardless. Why wouldn't we raise our prices and raise our prices while giving out more loans to these students that don't even know better and are signing things at 17, 18, 19 years old that they shouldn't be signing? And then they get out of school and we won't even give them student loan. We won't give them loans to go start the business and the thing that they went to school for. I mean, the whole thing doesn't make any sense. And I think pushing back these things doesn't solve the problem. Let's go back to the beginning of the situation. But how can you think they would do anything else when they continue to push back trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in government loans? I mean, you got to look at the house we're in. The apple don't fall too far from the tree. So the decisions they're making don't, I mean, it is. I'm glad people are getting a relief. Don't get me wrong. I was one of those students that had a ton of loans, right? However, the example we're setting doesn't go anywhere. It's a dead end. Right? It's a dead end. You're not helping these students get their money back or invest in themselves. Taking huge loans to go to school isn't necessarily a great investment in yourself, because most of it actually does not pan out. I know lawyers who are still paying off, who make great income and are still paying off their student loans at freaking 55 years old. How does that make sense?
Doesn't it all?
How does that make
What
sense?
is the point of this? Yes. What's the point of that? It's insane. It's insane. Good. By the way, excellently put, bro. Excellently put.
Yeah, man, you said it all. You guys said it all. Like those are my sentiments. I actually still fall in the news side, but it's kind of like what you said before. It could be, it's like, it's bad. It's like not good news that they're pushing it back, but it is news. It's something to be aware of, because from a planning standpoint, people are planning for this stuff. Every time they keep pushing it back, it's because it's right at the deadline, and some client or somebody I'm working with is like, well, I got to pay back these student loans next month, right? And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, wait, no, they don't, right? And so it's like this planning thing. So it is.
So let me go buy a Gucci belt.
Yeah, exactly, right? And then they're like, oh, I don't have to do anything. Like, that's responsible. Anyway, so it is news. But yeah, it's not good news. Why do we keep kicking the can down the road for people? Like, again, you said it, that's like the whole thing is a scam. We talk about college education and the business of higher education. That's really what it is, the business of higher education, and how it continues to be profitable, but it's no longer serving the needs of people. And we really have to have the financial discussion, not the emotional discussion about college, the financial discussion about student loans and higher education. That's where it needs to be. Take out everything else in the equation and just look at it from a financial standpoint, just from numbers, just as if it were an investment. You look at the numbers. The house that you buy as an investment might not be the prettiest house or the house you even want to live in, but if the numbers make sense, then you'll do it. That's how it works. It's not a preference. It's like, this makes financial sense. We need to start doing the same thing with student loans, higher education, and all of those things.
I think you touched on a really important piece there about that whole dream house versus the smart choice.
Yeah.
Like, ladies and gentlemen, make that dream house, like, if you really want it, the last thing you buy. Like, you don't need to buy that at 25. It's all good. Like, because all the money, you could be making passive income from smart housing decisions up until that point. And I still would not recommend you buy the dream house, but at least don't make it the first thing, because now that dream house has become your prison.
I think dream houses are bullshit anyway. Why would you want something already made as your dream? It's already made. Someone already thought of that house. Even if you find it, that was your dream. Someone thought of your dream before you. Everyone's dream house should be built from the ground up. Your dream house, my dream house could be like your dream house should be the dream of what you want in a house, not what was prefabricated. And then all of a sudden you're like, that's perfect for me. Why is that your dream? Like, don't make sense. Like, would you want the living room to be big or small? Would you want a movie room? Would you like our dream house? Like, we're going to build it. We just happen to have a house, but like, we want to build the house we want because we care less about house, more about land. Most times when you get a lot of land, they give you a big house. And it's like, we don't want a big house. We want a nice house and a lot of land to do a lot of things with. So when we design the house, that's our dream. It's specific about the kitchen, specific about the bathroom, and specific about the entertainment room, but that's it. So we're not going to go find some prefab thing and be like, oh, that's kind of like it. Oh, this is my dream home. No, it's not. You're just settling for it. So I don't even buy into that dream home stuff anyway. No one should. It's just all right propaganda of like buying a house. Not just like having a 401k. Not everybody has the same retirement goals. So why is everyone using the same vehicle? It's all the same stuff. That's right. I just had something actually drop off my desk literally at that time.
Well done, sir.
Like that?
Using the force over there?
I am. Listen, that was it. And as we wrap up, I had another segment and it's going to be super quick. It's only going to take us 2 minutes. Then we'll get some closing thoughts and get out of here. This is the last segment, over under. Just quick hitters. You only need an explanation unless you want to, but it's not necessary. These are some stats that I found that'll be interesting. You tell me, is it over or under that number? Here we go. The percent of people that have a proper estate plan here in America, like a will, a trust. Do you think it's over or under 50% of people? Half of Americans have a proper estate plan, over or under 50%?
Under. Sharpshooter. Get at me.
Stu, what do you say?
Under.
Answer is under. From the survey I found, 42% back in 2019. We don't have updated stats, but 42% in 2019 had a proper will, estate plan in place. Make sure, again, this financial literacy month, so make sure you guys are getting those things. Having a power of attorney and a health directive. I know many people haven't thought about a will, but having a health directive and a power of attorney are incredibly important documents to have. Whenever you're an adult, people cannot speak for you if you get sick. You have no guardian, nobody that can speak for you unless you're married, right? Like, but if you're just an adult, nobody can speak for you. You need that power of attorney. 42% of people have it. The other 58% still need to get it. Over under, the percent of people in America with life insurance. Over under 50%.
Under.
Under. What do you got,
I would say definitely under.
Under. It is over, gentlemen. In 2020, 54% of people had life insurance. 54% in 2020.
Still I'm in the minority on that then.
Yeah, right? Still leaves 46% of the population that is not protected and not covered for the inevitable, right? So that's that. Percent of people in America that own cryptocurrency. Over or under 20%. Over or under 20% of people that own crypto in America.
Over.
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 Over. Under 8.3% as of last year, 2021. 8.3% of Americans, almost 27 million people, own crypto.
I think that's a lot of salty people.
Listen, it's showing you how much the buzz is out there, but it's not really people doing it. It's just the talk, right? I remember holding a podcast, about a year ago with some people that are in the Bitcoin space. My good friend Naja and Dimitri, they're heavy in the Bitcoin space. They have they partnered up with this guy, Black Bitcoin Billionaires. They do a bunch of stuff. They do a lot of educating. They're all over. And she jumped on our podcast and she was like, you guys don't understand how early we actually are. We are so early, like so early. Like just because you hear about it doesn't mean that people are actually in it. We're very, very early in the space. It's just mainstream media, right? Once media gets something, it'll make it think like everybody's doing this, right? Statistics of as of last year, 8.3% of Americans, about 27 million Americans own crypto. Last one, percent of people living paycheck to paycheck, over or under 80%. Over or under 80%.
Over.
Under. Slightly under. 7 out of 10. 70%. It actually went down a bit. It used to be 74, 75. It was trending up. It started dropping down a little bit. So it's actually, I think the number was 68, but it says 7 out of every 10 people. So it's under.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, it's a good thing. It means people are bringing in some more money, right? Or getting smarter with it.
Yeah. Now I'm curious.
70% though.
I know, right?
Yeah. I mean, not happy with where it's at, but happy it's making progress. But I think one thing I'm curious about, the idea of living paycheck to paycheck, does that include like non-immediately liquefiable assets?
Probably not. Meaning like it probably, or I don't know, actually. It's a good question. Like you mean like people that own homes or own assets, right? Like,
yeah. What about you got stuff in a 401k, but your bank account doesn't have your 6-month comfort level. Like, is that considered in this statistic?
Probably, right? But it would probably still consider paycheck to paycheck because it's really just taking into account like how the income is coming in, right? Like normally, if you don't have enough to last by missing 2 paychecks, if you miss 2 paychecks, then all of a sudden you're either in more debt, right? You're filing bankruptcy or something like that's the paycheck to paycheck. If you stop working, how long do you have to go? And most people missing 2 of their steady paychecks, like a month's worth of paychecks, puts them in a significant hole financially.
Wow. Okay.
Right? A significant hole. So 7 out of 10, 70%, guys. So this is, again, why the conversation is so important. It's because these are financial things that we have to start talking about out in the open to make sure that people are getting the information they need to get their financial life where they want it to be, right? And these are just some of the quick hitters about having a estate plan, having insurance, investing in assets, cryptocurrency being one of those, and living paycheck to paycheck. This is what's happening out there. We looked at the poll earlier today from LinkedIn about how people are learning their money, whether it's they're teaching themselves or whether they're getting it from their parents. But regardless, the conversation has to happen. So closing thoughts. You guys want to add anything, a giveaway or a takeaway? You guys want to give? I'll take.
I think. Go ahead, Kobi.
Quick takeaway from me is awareness is key. So thank you for bringing our awareness, elevating our awareness in this financial literacy month. And wherever you think you are, I feel like you can always go back and improve a couple things. So thank you for the information today.
Yes, sir.
Amen. Actually, mine was going to be very close to that. I think mine is a takeaway as well that I want to re-highlight. And I think to me, just the whole having the conversations in the open, as well as just looking at your money, just going in there and just looking at it, like having a plan, putting some type of budget together. Like the more you are, like Kobi said, aware of what's happening and where you're actually at, the more you're talking about it and putting it out there. Like this whole episode has been really great to inspire anybody that is wondering why they're struggling with money. Well, then the question is, are you at least looking at it? Because if you're not, that's a great spot to start.
That's right.
That's it. And I appreciate you guys even having the conversation and diving in. I just know it's incredibly important on my side this month, specifically for United Agency, which is company that we're running on the financial coaching side, we're actually doing complimentary financial needs analysis for everybody this month. For everybody that wants a financial plan, put something in place, look at your money, get a plan for it. This is the month to get it together. Hit me up. Find United Agency on LinkedIn or anywhere out there and DM us and let us know. We're more than happy to get it for you. It'll set you on a plan and on a path to get into where you want to be financially. Take us up on it. It's complimentary. We're doing it for Financial Literacy Month. So tap in with us there. All right.
Cool. Tap in. All right, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate being with you guys today. That's it for us today. And if you guys like what you heard, make sure you subscribe, smash that like button, tune in next Monday for another good episode, and share with somebody who would love or hate this episode, because all press, ladies and gentlemen, is good press. And until next time, keep living the good life. We out of here, baby.